Good evening. Welcome to Pause. I'm your host, Dr. Phil Hoffman, and tonight we will be talking about the arts right here in our city of license, Sedalia. That's coming up right now on Pause. And welcome back. As I said, my name is Dr. Phil Hoffman, and I'm here with our guests for today, or words to that effect. And our guests today are Terri Ballard, who is with the Liberty Center Association for the Arts in Sedalia, Missouri, and Joe Fischer, who is also working with the Liberty Center for the Arts. Thank you for being here. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
So let's talk a little bit. There's a lot of construction dust. If you don't live in Sedalia, you may not know this, but there's a lot of stuff that's been happening. So give us a little bit of a background on what's going on right now at the Liberty Center for the Arts.
We have just completed phase one of a remodel, reconstruction, addition. We've done a lot of work there. So phase one is completed. We're ready to move into the next phase. So,
this is a pretty ambitious project when you think about a city the size of Sedalia and a project like this. This is a very large project, right?
it has been a very big undertaking, yes.
Because not only is there the actual work that you're doing, but of course you've got to do the fundraising and all that and get support and put a group of folks together that are going to back a project like this.
Correct.
Now, when you think about the actual project, Joe, obviously part of your mission in this is to help sort of with the technical aspects of getting it all done and decision making and things like that. What is the biggest challenge when you go into a building like this one? What typically are the kind of challenges that you run into where you say, oh my, how do we solve this?
Well, this building certainly had issues with being square, for one, as being an old structure that's settled.
Right.
Different elevations for accessing our new addition and accessing the theater and the entrance to the facility. So we had to manage that. And then ADA compliance is always an issue with old buildings, and so we certainly gave a lot of attention to that. It was really the impetus behind doing an addition, because we had our ADA compliance was minimal at best, and it really, access to the theater was an outside ramp up a metal grate to get to that. So we felt that we could do better than that, certainly. And by adding an addition, we've accommodated that and really have an amazing structure.
Now, I should back up for a second, because I realize now, Terri, I'm talking inside baseball a little bit here, because many of our viewers may not be aware of what the Liberty Center is or what you do there. So let's take a couple minutes to just catch people up and talk about that.
We are a historic theater. It was built in 1920. It opened. And Sedalia has a history of lots of performing arts, so it's not one of the oldest theaters, but it's the oldest existing theater that we have. And then for a while, it became a dairy warehouse. And then in the 70s, it was handed back to the city by the Meadow Gold. And it was handed back to the city, who then gave it over to the community arts, the community theater people.
And so since that time, which would be mid-70s?
Probably early 80s before that all.
So since that time, right, it has obviously been in operation. So what led to the decision of, hey, we need to do some work to it and we need to fix it up?
It has been used strictly as a community theater building, and the Neil Rayburn and Ginger Swearingen were the two people who kind of came up and helped with the building in the 70s, took it back over, reconverted it back into a theater. And we then decided, well, when Joe came on our board, he and I discussed, how can we make this better? We can do better for our community. And so Joe had the vision. We talked about the needs of the building, the needs of the community, and then we brought in architects, and it just kind of snowballed. And Joe was the champion who made all that happen.
Well, originally when you came in the building, you came in and you had to go up 2 stairs to then go down to the theater. Mm-hmm. So it just didn't make a lot of sense, but it was the best design at the time for accessing the theater with the space that they had available, and it required an addition to change that. Additionally, to get a beverage at break, you'd have to go upstairs, and so we have everything on the main floor on one level now, so no one will be limited for any of the services. Bathrooms were on the second floor. So we've accommodated that now with brand new bathrooms, 5 stalls in each facility, so or each side. So it's as it should be to be, again, ADA compliant and user friendly.
You know, we had the good fortune back in December. We were doing an event for KMOS, and we were doing a screening of Downton Abbey, a little sneak preview, and we kind of got a little sneak preview of the renovations because I think literally the paint was still drying
Right.
when we were in there. But I was shocked to see how big that theater is. It was much larger than I thought it was going to be. When, you know, you look at it from the outside, it doesn't look that big, and then when you're inside, so how many seats are in there?
It surprises people when they walk
It's
in.
huge.
And it's a 300-seat theater. It meets our needs. It's, you know, some days we'd like to have more seats,
Right.
but you know, it's a great theater, and people are surprised when they walk in at how big it is and that it's even there. Some people don't even realize that it's there.
Right. And I think maybe part of it is it just seems like such a voluminous space because the ceiling is so high. I feel like that you feel like you're in this great big space, and 300 seats. You're right. Yeah, that's not crazy amount of seats to have in a town the size of Sedalia, but it just feels, I don't know why exactly, but it just feels so much larger when you walk in there.
Into the auditorium.
Yeah.
It is. It's. I don't know if it's the clouds or what it is in there, but it's. And then we have the big, where the stage is. It's very tall because it allows us to raise and lower drapes and all that kind of thing. So
We're going to hope to put a new fly system in as part of our phase 2 development of the facility. But we did get to redo the stage, make it larger and level everywhere, and so it's much better for the actors on site. So we've made a lot of nice improvements inside the theater as well, not just outside.
So this is obviously a labor of love for both of you, right? This is an important project to you, but it can't just happen with the two of you. Obviously, there has to be a lot of other support. So let's talk a little bit about the city and the folks that have come together to try to help champion this effort.
Joe kicked off the campaign. We had December of 2013, I think it was. We kicked off the campaign, and then we had a consultant who helped us pull together a plan, went out into the community, and there are a lot of people in our community who champion the arts, and so we, you know, laid out our story, and they realized the importance of it and helped support the project and came together, and for the third time in our history, we're bringing back the theater to meet the needs. So I think it's come together very well.
As part of the renovation, we've added, or the addition, we have 3 art galleries. We are the Liberty Center for Association for the Arts, not just the acting and the visual arts as well. So we have 3 art galleries that are named for various people who have given very large amounts to our project, and we certainly appreciate their efforts. There have been so many people, but Bob and Barbara Hayden with Starline have certainly been a key supporter and continue to do that. And Barbara Schrader has a gallery named after her, and they were nice enough to name one after my family as well. So, but we have other opportunities for that as well, for naming rights, and I would love to go on record as to say that I'll give up my naming rights if anybody wants to match what I put forth. So we're always fundraising, certainly.
Yeah, I understand that. So when you talk about the arts, and this is something that just my observation as an outsider, I've only been in the area for about 1.5 years now, I feel like there's, particularly in Sedalia, there's a very strong support for the arts, perhaps more so than in some of the other cities that I see here in our viewing area. In Sedalia, it seems to be really important, and people really put money and effort behind it.
They do. It started a long time ago, but certainly came to we realized the full benefit of it with Dr. Hal Dahm and the Dahm Museum of Contemporary Arts, and what Doug Freed, as the director of that, meant to the arts in Sedalia. And we've not coined it, but we've come to call ourselves in hopes of becoming the art mecca of the area, of certainly Central Missouri and the Midwest. The Dom certainly rivals the Kemper Museum of Contemporary Art, and in St. Louis, there's amazing facilities there too, and this is as nice as any of those. So we're very fortunate to have that.
And I know that recently there was a show in Kansas City, graphic design show, and the Dom was actually sort of the satellite part of that show. So folks were coming as part of coming to visit the show in Kansas City. They were coming to Sedalia to the Dom, which I thought was a really interesting partnership, but a good one, and getting folks out to see the works in the Dom.
Sure, it's nationally recognized. Tom Pache has done a great job of continuing to attract more artists, and he has an endowed fund to continue to acquire pieces, and we're very fortunate in that regard. Yeah.
So Terry, tell me, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Our claim to fame back when Sedalia, in its early age, was ragtime. And so we had a lot of theaters downtown, a lot of performing space, and now we've kind of noticed, so we've always been an artsy town, and so now we're kind of, our claim to fame now is the Dom. So we've kind of gone from performing arts to visual arts. So we're trying to embrace all of that within our building.
Well, you know those ragtime guys. Now we think it's art, but it was hoodlums back in the day, right?
We love our ragtime performers.
That's the beauty of perspective of time, right? You know,
Exactly.
It seems much more arty now than it maybe did in the day. Well, it's interesting because that's one of those things, again, that I think I was shocked to learn when I moved here, that they have the Ragtime Festival, and that was a place where Scott Joplin kind of coined the whole thing. And so again, it's just one of those little things about Sedalia that really struck me as being unique and different, and really kind of giving you that claim to being the arts center. So when you started your role with the Liberty Center for Arts, what were you hoping to accomplish? I'm guessing you didn't think you would be behind a production like this magnitude.
No, when I started there, I was actually a board member, and we were very close to closing the doors. It was failing in all aspects, and we sat down and pulled together, went through everything, figured out what was wrong, where the leakage was, what we could stop, and then we worked to build a board to help us realize. We did some strategic planning. Then we worked to build a board to help us realize the goal of not letting this remaining theater fall in. So we've found the right people. Joe was one of them, the Haydens, Sylvia Thompson, Barbara Schrader, all of those people who've helped us along the way to say we don't want this to fall in either. So we've been very fortunate to be able to bring along those people and lay out the vision, and they've embraced that.
Sedalia is that kind of community, though. They see a worthwhile cause and step up, and our fundraising efforts have been much like United Ways, where there's always a few people that give quite a bit, but many small donations, and everyone is important and means a lot to us. And so we appreciate their efforts to continue to this facility and really bring it to what we can fully appreciate from the performing arts.
Well, it's always interesting to me because I liken it to like a forest fire. Sometimes the forest has to burn down, right, for new growth to happen. And it's not that you want these moments of panic, right? You don't want that. But I'm just saying, sometimes it almost seems like those moments in the lifespan of an organization where there's a real crisis, oftentimes that's the moment when the right people appear.
It's the rally cry
right.
that you
yeah,
get.
no question about it. So you started this process, obviously, not necessarily thinking that you were going to be doing this whole renovation and all that kind of stuff.
I thought it was a dream. I thought if we could just get through a few years and just maybe not get a little money in the bank, but at least not be in the red.
Not be broke all the time. Yeah.
So that was kind of my goal, and so we've surpassed that, and something that we're all proud of, I think.
And that's why we're completing phase 1. We're not quite there with our funding. We could still use help there. Phase 2 is equally as important because it helps secure the building further. We need a new roof, so we'll be addressing that. We have someone in their wisdom designed a concrete built room on the 3rd floor above everything that needs to be addressed, because someday it's going to be an issue, and so we have to address that. The original building had a marquee in front, and so we'd like to put that back if we can. There's parking issues we have to deal with, and the fly system. For some reason, Terri feels compelled to take care of the actors downstairs and where they get dressed. Yeah, exactly. So we're going to do that as well.
Well, it's an interesting process, I'm sure, for you to watch, sort of this one step at a time, especially when, as you said, you didn't necessarily expect this to happen. So when you think about the restoration process, I think you mentioned earlier, we were chatting and you said there really aren't any photos that would help you kind of guide you in how it originally looked, right? So how do you then, as you start this project, how do you conceive of what it should look like?
We, again, we have been fortunate, and we have a lot of artists in town, and one of the artists, Donnie Looper, he is on our board now, and so he stops in one day and he says, "What are you going to do in here?" And I said, we have no guiding documents that say here's what we're, and he says, "Well, this is what you need to do." And so Joe's my guy that I call to when I'm in a dilemma. So I called Joe and I said, "What do you think?" And did you get to see the wood trim? So Donnie came in and he hand milled, and everything is custom made for that building. We put in the original, there was a double stairwell in there, and so we put back one of the original stairwells. And so Donnie has wrapped all of that in oak, and all the columns. I mean, it's absolutely beautiful. So it's it's period, but we don't believe it's like it was originally.
We moved the box office where it had been placed off in the corner to where it made sense from a flow standpoint as far as coming into the building, and I think that makes a lot of sense. We were fortunate to have Rawlings Architects step up, and they were very generous in their time and energy, and they're very, very capable. And you can't replicate an old building built in the 1920s, but you can complement it. They did a very nice job of that. Troyner Masonry, who did the brick and block work, did some things to it that made it just look much more very nice, complementary, like I say. And so it's a really, it doesn't detract from the building at all. I think it really adds to it, especially that west side, which was a 3-story brick that was less than appealing. And so
you can see the photo there that we have on the screen. So you're looking at the original building there, which is obviously the bigger of the two, and then the addition. So they do look happy sitting next to one another, right? They look like they complement.
There used to be a metal ramp that was on that where the addition is, and it was so horrible for little old people or handicapped people. If it was snowing or raining, they'd come in, get their tickets, sit inside and wait till they could get into the theater, and then they'd trudge out in the snow and rain and go into the theater. So this is just wonderful to be able to get those people in there without that kind of harassment.
And as you said, Joe, there's been a lot of thought to mobility issues and being able to get folks in there who have those challenges so that they can get in and enjoy something in the theater as well. Not something that necessarily was a design parameter in the 1920s.
Sure, right.
But certainly today we're much more cognizant of making things accessible.
You have to be, absolutely. Yeah. And the addition is really, the galleries are attractive. They're stark, as most galleries are. We have concrete floors and white walls, but we have some nice lighting and well thought out. And so it'll be a nice opportunity to show different artists and their wares and I think we'll have some wonderful themes that we'll carry out throughout the year and change it so it's always appealing and something new to come see, certainly. The Haydens have like Western art and support Western art and own a lot of Western art, so they're going to give us or loan the facility numerous pieces in what they're calling the Wooddale Gallery, and it will have a Western theme. They were responsible for the Starline Brass facility in Sedalia for the Trail's End, and it has amazing structure for our history, our heritage as relates in Sedalia to the rail and cattle drives. And sure. So.
Well, you know, this is all good, but let's face it, Terry. I mean, the building is one piece of it, but you got to have something going on. Right. In the building. So let's talk a little bit about the kind of things that the center has been programming and what you're hoping to be able to do as you progress with the building. Okay.
When I started working there, we only did community theater. We have expanded our programming. We're going to do film series. We just did the Oscar film shorts, and we did one of the ragtimers came to town and he did a silent movie played live with the silent film. So that was part of the film series. We're going to do, we bring in some professional shows. We're getting ready to do the Second City from Chicago. They're coming in. We just did a puppet show and we brought all the school kids in, and Paul Messner from Kansas City did that. We will continue to do community theater. What we have coming up in May is our kids will audition. We have a junior community theater and we have a junior community choir that is a partnership between us and Parks and Rec. So we will audition those kids in May, and then they're going to do The Little Mermaid, and that will be shown in July. So those are the things we have coming up. And then later in the summer, we'll do, for Scott Joplin is actually in our facility now. They're housed out of there. The Liberty Center will become a Scott Joplin complex during the festival. So we'll have all of their concerts there. They'll do symposia there. I think that's what we have going, and they have their store. They'll have a little, you know, merchandise to sell, and then we'll have later on we'll have Church Basement Ladies is a professional touring theatrical production that will be there. So we have lots of things coming up. They just need to check out our website at
which is
www.lcaasedalia.com.
So this I guess ultimately what you're looking for is to get to a point where you have so much going on that you don't have a day off, basically, right? Is that your goal?
Maybe we can hire some more people.
But I mean, again, it's sort of a testament to what folks in Sedalia want out of this organization, because you can program all this stuff and people actually come. And you know, I mean, when we did the screening for Downton Abbey, I was astounded at how many people would leave their home to watch a TV show that they can see in a couple of weeks, you know? And so for me, that was really an impressive show of force in the city of Sedalia in terms of folks being willing to get by. And it wasn't great weather. It was kind of cold.
It was cold, but people were excited. We got a lot of phone calls on that ourselves, and yeah, there's so many things we can do. We can rent the building now. We didn't encourage people to rent it because you had to go up and down and up and down, and Grandma couldn't get in very well. But I think Joe's class reunion will be there. We can do weddings. I mean, you could be the star of your own production, having your wedding there. There's lots of things we could do with the building.
And you're charging him double, right?
Absolutely, happy to pay too.
So when you think about the future, and we just have a couple minutes left, but when you think about the future, what kind of things would you like to see happen?
I would like to see more professional shows, but I would also like to see, you know, that nice balance of community theater, because people love to come out and see their friends and family on the stage. Those are really good selling shows that people can come out and do that. And we have some people who really enjoy being in the shows. So we have some great little actors in our town. So and kids love to be on stage. So I'm looking forward to more of that, and some concert series, and just keep it going.
So Terri, are you ready to sit back and go, okay,
No.
My work is
and
done
that,
here.
and
Cannot.
that doesn't even touch on what we have going on in the gallery space, that we have to keep that kind of thing going.
Right.
I'd like to see some something that taps into the younger crowd, that brings them in and to experience the arts. So yeah, we'll keep plugging away.
How about you, Joe? What do you see that you'd like to have accomplished in the future?
Certainly more visual arts, and keep that young, or keep it fresh and changing. I really enjoy going to the professional like the Second City Improv. I think that really sets Sedalia apart when you can attract things like that to a small community and have a venue like we have to present it. So I'd like to see much more of that. It may take underwriting and sponsorship by various businesses, but we have a large industrial base in Sedalia that can support that. So I think that we'll have the support from our community as well.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Terry. Thank you, Joe. We appreciate you being here
you.
today.
Thank you.
Some exciting things happening in Sedalia at the Liberty Center Association for the Arts. Good heavens. Thank you for joining us today. I'm your host, Dr. Phil Hoffman, and we will see you next time right here on Pause.